We are going to hear first from Alicia Lingenfelser, owner of 4D Equipment and Services, a women-owned small business in Dallas, Texas. I believe her partners are also here with her today. They are trying to obtain a loan to purchase land and equipment to build an aggregate mining facility in a rural area of Texas, and she's going to describe some of the difficulties that confront small businesses as they want to expand to hire additional people. The construction of the plant would take about 6 months, employ 100 people, and Alicia, thank you very much for coming here from Texas to share your story. You may proceed.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman Dorgan, Assistant Majority Leader Durbin, and the other distinguished members of this panel. My name is Alicia Lingenfelser, and I am an owner of 4D Equipment and Services, a small, successful, woman-owned, Dallas-based concrete truck leasing company. I'd like to thank you and the Senate Democratic Policy Committee for providing us this opportunity to discuss the current credit market and its impact on small businesses and job creation. Joining me today are my two business partners, Dina Bartnicki and Stephanie Kalovis. While I am speaking to you, Dina and Helen, one of our partners who was unable to be here today, and Stephanie, we're all a part of this message, not just 4D, but the small business leaders in this country. Currently, we are seeking to expand and vertically integrate our construction-related investments by owning and operating an aggregate plant southeast of Austin, Texas. The challenges we have had facing us are trying to get credit for this opportunity that'll impact more than 100 jobs and ultimately employ 14 full-time people once the plant's operational. Unfortunately, while the elements and the detail of this testimony are specific to 4D, our story is not unique. Rather, it reflects the issues and the barriers that many other small businesses face in their attempt to expand or create new jobs in this difficult economy. Today, we're investors of a small ready-mix concrete company near Austin, Texas, and that investment led us to open and form 4D Equipment and Services. We are certified as a women business enterprise and a historically underutilized business enterprise, and we will achieve a disadvantaged business enterprise certification once we are operational. Our research, when we completed our research and we fully vetted our business plan, we had a thorough understanding of what it would take to expand the business. We personally have strong creditworthiness. We have significant capital to bring to the venture. We started to say, okay, how are we going to get financing for this? So the four of us sat down together and we said we needed $3.3 million, which approximately 95% of it would go to the acquisition of land, equipment, and the work needed to establish the operations. If funded, work could begin immediately and the mine could open in 6 months, during which time, Mr. Chairman, we would employ around 104 personnel. We're talking electricians, welders, plumbers, heavy equipment operators, factory technicians, and manufacturers. Once operational, we'd sustain 14 full-time jobs, and we're not talking about minimum wage. We are talking about jobs that pay substantially well for heavy equipment operators and for experienced plant personnel. Over time, if demand dictated, we would be able to expand the number of job opportunities our company had available. We began our research for financing using local resources like the Southwest Women's Business Council and the Fort Worth Business Assistance Center to assist us in understanding what were the best options for getting funding. And the two options that really became clear to us were the 7A loans through the SBA and the 504 programs. Once we determined our financing, we used those local resources to help us find banks who would most likely expand. So we didn't just go out there and knock on doors. We actually used good resources to help us find the right kinds of banks. 4 banks are what we've met with to date. One is Chase, one is Frost, one is Wells Fargo, and one is Compass. Unfortunately, despite our creditworthiness and the soundness and likelihood of our plan to succeed, we've not been able to secure financing. They've given us 2 reasons. 1, the banks just aren't lending. 2 is that our needs exceed the current SBA loan limits. So let me just give you a few examples. 1, even though they were impressed with our business plan and we were a good customer in standing, Chase Bank, a TARP recipient, would not even take a meeting with us. Ironically, Mr. Chairman and panel, we got our first business loan from them. Yet when we approached them about expanding in the aggregate business, they said they're not loaning money for the types of businesses that are going into construction, not even SBA money, 7A and 504. Frost Bank met with us, took a few days to review our plan, and said basically the same thing Chase said. Thanks, but we're not going to help expand the construction business. I do want to have a good note here, is that Wells Fargo sat down with us and said, this is a great plan, and we want to try and help you. The problem is the current 7A limits are now at $2 million, and they have an internal restriction that doesn't allow them to use the 504 money for any part of construction. So basically, here's how it comes down. Wells Fargo would like to help us, and they're willing to help us purchase our plant, fabricate the office, buy the equipment, but they won't give us the money to construct it. This is why we desperately need Bill 1832, sponsored by Mary Landrieu and you, Senator Dorgan, as well as others on this panel, to pass so that we can get the funding we seek to cover the expenses, even when banks create their own internal restrictions above and beyond what the SBA already applies. Last but not least, we are talking with Compass Bank. They have showed some interest, and we are planning a meeting when we get back later this week. Although we've received overwhelmingly positive feedback on the merits of our business plan, as well as our business acumen, our financial credit, banks will not lend to us at this point. If we continue to miss this window of opportunity to expand our business and to provide jobs in the area, we're not sure what's going to happen, whether we'll be able to continue to hope for the banks to come around. I guess we want to ask you, Mr. Chairman, and this panel, if we can't get credit, who can? If we can't get funding, who can? Moreover, how long will we have to wait? And lastly, if businesses like ours don't get the funding they need to expand and create jobs, what's the real long-term impact to our local communities and to our nation? While the unemployment rate in Texas is lower than the national average, it is still significant. The area that surrounds our proposed plant is a small community where job opportunities are not readily available but greatly needed. The owners of 4D Equipment and Service want to meet that community's needs and the needs of our nation. I do not believe that it is an overstatement to say that our small business can create the kind of ripple effect that is talked about in Washington and can create the kind of jobs that helps our nation's economy. That ripple effect starts with an entrepreneurial spirit, the kind sitting at this table, a great idea, a willingness to sacrifice a huge part of our own savings for our retirement to create a small company that adds jobs. I ask this panel to consider measures that would free up credit for small businesses, and we ask you to remember that the small businesses are the energy of our economy. We are that ripple effect that creates growth and ongoing opportunities throughout our country. I'd like to thank you for allowing me to be a voice for the small businesses of this country. It has been an absolute honor to be asked to come here and represent. So thank you very much, and my partners would like to thank you as well.
Ms. Lingenfelser, thank you very much. I like your spirit, and you and your determination to grow and expand and put people on a payroll are exactly what makes this country tick. The question is, what are the impediments? How do we remove them so that we can get moving?